Hey everybody, welcome back to yet another gloriously wonderful and mercifully short Uber Grace video. Don't forget there's 122 of these. This is 123 I believe, if I can count. And do look us up on Instagram, on Facebook, YouTube to see some of the others. And do share, like, comment and stuff, because that's really helpful to get this sort of stuff out of there. Right now then, let's get on with it, because I wanted to look at a couple of scriptures and just tie them together a little bit in what I hope will be a relatively semi-half helpful way. The basis really of all religion, all spirituality, all spiritual endeavour, whatever it is really does seem to be, who is the God in question? What is God like? Who is he? And we get an insight into this. The ancient writers that were writing what are known as the books of Moses, people think Moses wrote them, but of course he didn't. They were written hundreds of years later, looking back on it as history. And Moses was brought up in the Egyptians. He knew all about all the different Egyptian gods that we look at now in certain films and stuff. And then he went in to live in an area called Midian, and then he of course spent the years learning all about the Midianite gods, which are a whole other bunch of gods. So he was pretty, probably quite messed up when it comes to God. So anyway, he's out one day working for his father-in-law, tending the sheep, and he comes across this bush that's burning. You've heard of the burning bush. The bush is burning, but it's not being consumed. Moses recognises that he's in a pretty holy hot spot here, really hot spot, and takes his shoes off and starts talking to the tree, the bush, and the bush talks to him. So whether you think this is true or not doesn't matter at all. I know most people that watch my videos think everything's absolutely true in the Bible, but actually it teaches truth doesn't mean it's actually happened like this. Okay, the ancient writers were trying to put together a story that explains life and explains their heritage really as Israelites. So anyway, Moses is talking to this bush and he says, "Who are you?" And God could have said anything at this point. We'll say, spoilers, it was God, right? He could have said absolutely anything, giving himself some fancy name. I'm the God of this, I'm the God of that, I'm all sorts. But actually what the ancient writers wanted us to understand, that when God was first addressing Moses, he was just saying, I am who I am. What? So I've come across God, this burning fire moment, feet off, really holy moment, and all you've got is, I am who I am. That's the basis of all spirituality, all religion, all belief, really the basis of life itself. Let's roll forward 1,000, 2,000, however many years it is, until we get Jesus walking around Israel. And he says, he comes out with a line that it's been so misused and weaponized, and it's just ridiculous actually when you think about how far from the truth we now teach it in the Western evangelical, Pentecostal, whatever churches, right? Because he says, I am. He says this a lot. I am. And then he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except by me. Now, what you have probably heard, or what I have heard since I was about 11, is the whole, you've got to completely give your life to Jesus because he's the way. He only has the truth. No one else has the truth. Life comes through him. And you can't get to heaven for eternity unless you come through him. It doesn't say that, any of that really. But that's what we kind of teach it as. Once again, we get it spot on, don't we? Face palm. Anyway, Jesus recognises, because he's the Son of God, he's the one that's passing on who God is to people. He's coming to reset the whole agenda. He actually goes right back, talking to the people that are really disciples of Moses. That's what the Jewish people were. They were disciples of Moses. And he was saying to these people, look, I am. You understand what that means. I am. And the way you're going to get to the Father, who of course is within you, because the Father is in heaven, the kingdom of heaven is within us. The way you get to the Father who is the Father of light, he is love. Perfect love casts out all fear. There is no fear in love. Okay, so the way to get access to this Father of love is actually through recognizing who you are. Jesus wasn't saying for him, everybody look, I am the way, the truth, the life. He was actually saying, I am. That's the way, the truth and the life. Actually getting back in touch with the real you. That's the way. Your life, your truth. The word life in there is often translated as reality. So your actual reality, maybe not the reality you're living in, because that's not real sometimes, is it? Whose life is unreal right now, you know. But actually the reality of who you really are, the reality and the truth of your I amness, the reality and the truth, the way that your I amness is, the life that actually comes out when you're allowed to just be yourself. The life, that word Zoe again, the Greek word Zoe, where we get the name Zoe, which means fullness of life. So the way Jesus is saying, and this is what Moses was encountering at the burning bush, this is what Jesus is bringing them back to. Not an exclusive thing that says only you guys can get in if you confess me as your Lord and Saviour. And you write on, you know, no, none of that. It's just saying, no, you are who you are right now, who you really are, not all the masks and the religious trappings that you've absorbed into your life. You're trying to be someone else. That's the big thing, isn't it, when you're an evangelical Christian, is trying to be Jesus, when actually he's already taken. Just be you, you know. Oh man, that is what Jesus was actually teaching. No one really gets the way to God until they really realise who they are in their I amness, if you want to write it in that way. I am who I am. And I'm not Jesus, although he's a cracking, you know, teacher and Lord and all that sort of stuff. I am who I am. You are who you are. And I lost my identity in all the churchianity that I was in. I became someone else. And I have connected now that I've shed all that off, or a lot of it off, and I am walking in my I amness, I'm actually connected so much more than I ever was with the Father who is love, who brings that freedom. Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, and forever. He's the express image of the invisible God who is love. He casts out all fear. God always did cast out fear, always is and always will. But you need to get back to your I amness in order to really know and get to the Father who is in you. Hey, I'm really hoping that that's raised way more questions than answers. I'll see you, you're welcome, in the next one.